Hello. Welcome to the Gem State Report. My name's Brian Almon, editor of the Gem State Chronicle. Find that and everything else at gemstatechronicle.com. If you'd like to subscribe and support my work, go to gemstate.substack.com. You know, I originally got the new domain just because Twitter hates Substack links. If you paste a Substack link into Twitter, it won't give you a preview. The algorithm will downrank it. People just won't see it. It's this beef between Substack and Twitter. Elon Musk. Elon thinks that you should be writing all your stuff on Twitter, on X, and you shouldn't be linking to go to other sites. So it kills links to sites like Substack. So I created gemstatechronicle.com for that reason, really, but it's really grown since then. It's I aim to make it your one-stop shop for basically information about the government, about politics. Let me bring up the site here. I'll go over some of the stuff that I've been talking about this week, as well as news stories and such. It's going to be a fairly short episode today. Just I've been busy today. I haven't had a chance to prepare too much. Gonna call it a night soon and watch a movie with the family. Let's see, what am I looking for? This one. Here we go. Okay, so that is the website, gemstatechronicle.com, news and analysis that empowers you to make positive change in Idaho. If you haven't done it before, take a few minutes and just check out all the links up here at the top. If you're on mobile, you got this little menu. It'll bring up the same thing over here. The archive, if you ever miss an article, I guess that doesn't work. I got to open it in the same window. If you ever miss an article, this is literally just a list of everything I've published. And you can keep going, next page, next page, next page. It's just a chronological list of everything. I've got a few things on the ticker here that I update every couple of days. Letters to the editor, I haven't had any in a while, but if you'd like to submit a letter, just send something to the editor at gemstatechronicle.com, and we'll put it up there. Guest editorial, same thing. If you have a longer piece you'd like me to publish, usually I do regular editorials from, say, Idaho Republican Party Chair Dorothy Moon, Attorney General Labrador, Governor Little whenever he writes something, but I'll do other things from other folks when they when something jumps out at me, or if they ask. I'm always willing to post editorials from others. This newest one is from Maxford Nelson. He is a policy guy over at the Freedom Foundation, which is not to be confused with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Back when I was young, in my 20s, and getting involved in Washington politics before I moved out here, the Evergreen Freedom Foundation was our version of IFF, and they were the conservative think tank out there in Olympia. They've since evolved into just Freedom Foundation because they're not just the Evergreen State anymore. They're essentially nationwide. And anyway, Maxford has been here in Boise trying to work on a couple of bills, especially things related to teachers unions. So he wrote an editorial for their site and asked me to publish it, and I very much happily agreed, talking about how teachers unions are going to come after legislators who supported school choice and supported taking away tax dollars from the teachers unions. So check it out. Be ready. The 2026 campaign starts in about 6 weeks. That's just editorials, press releases, the podcast. I haven't done those in a while, but video. I do this every week. The different organizations that are involved here, different outlets. I really believe that rising tide lifts all boats. So I'm happy to link to all these other conservative media outlets. They all do great work as well. Resources, list of the bills, watching the legislature, the daily summary, register to vote. If you're not registered, I don't know what you're doing. Email Idaho. You can blast off an email to the entire legislature, the Freedom Index, look up LLCs, scorecards, media archive, lobbyists, Sunshine. WONC is Mountain States Policy Center's AI that you can talk about bills. It's not great yet. It's still evolving, but this is the future. So go check that out. And then the quizzes. If you haven't taken these quizzes, you really should. It's really interesting. Last year, the Institute for Legislative Analysis came out with a platform rating. They took 40 bills from the legislature and compared them to the Idaho Republican Party platform as it was last year. And then they rated them does it support the platform or oppose the platform? And then they scored all our legislators on how they voted on those 40 bills. So I took those 40 bills and created this little quiz. And so you start the quiz and you'll literally see this is an appropriations. And it's literally just the title of the bill. I don't do any editorializing. The closest I do to editorializing here is with the picture, the random stock image that I pick for it. But this is the title. This is the statement of purpose. And you can say, do you support it or oppose it? And then you move on. So say you oppose, and it brings up the next one, counselors and therapists. And anyway, it goes on. It does all 40 of them. I'm not going to do the whole thing here. And at the end, it scores you. And the cool thing that I think is that it shows you which legislator you're closest to. So which member of the House or senator do you most closely match? And I don't get 100% on this. I usually get about 90% when I take it. And same thing on the on the Freedom Index. So I'd like to make one of these for the IFF Freedom Index, but they rate about 300 to 400 bills, and that would be a very long quiz. So I haven't quite figured out how to do that. I did another one with the IACI scorecard. You can see how you would score according to IACI's metrics. So check those out. Lots of fun stuff on here. Also a subscribe link, contact. You can just donate me money if you like. Buy mugs. I'll add some more merchandise items here in the future. I also put up these two things up in the front and center, because I think they're important resources. And I fixed them so they should look right on desktop and mobile. As of last week, they still looked wonky on mobile. But the live streams is literally just all the live streams of the House, the Senate, and all the committees. This is something I use myself. That's really why I built it, because I wanted it for myself, and I figured everyone else would enjoy it as well. So, I come in here earlier today, both the House and the Senate on at the same time, and I had one of them muted and the other was playing, but I was able to keep track of what they were doing, which bill they were on. And of course, Idaho Insider is your look. Oh, it flips it around. Sometimes it does that. Keeps you on your toes. Legislative branch is the one I've done the most work on. So that's fun. You should go check it out. Just explore the website. I've put a lot of work into it. Also, while you're here, check out our sponsors, which are not showing up because this is on my browser that does not have them whitelisted. But our sponsors this right now are Money Metals Exchange out in Eagle. They are a great resource for gold and silver and other things of that sort. They have the largest precious metal depository west of the Mississippi. I think it's the second largest in America, they say. It's really big. It's just right down the road from my house. I've had the privilege of watching it be built over the last couple of years. So it's exciting to see it finished, and it's very exciting that they are a sponsor. There's also Syringa Speaker Series. Let's see if I can find that here. Yeah, there we go. So this is a new organization that's bringing keynote speakers to Idaho. It's not only are they bringing speakers, it's creating a forum for like-minded people, people who are center-right conservatives to come together. The left has all sorts of these. They'll bring in their speakers, their Marxists and their critical race theorists and such. And they use that as networking and organizing. So it's great to have this. The upcoming event is Molly Hemingway. She is editor-in-chief over at The Federalist. Federalist is a great publication. They do a lot of great work, and Molly does a lot of great work as well. She wrote the definitive book on the 2020 election. It's called Rigged. And it's not about secret servers and vote switching. It's about memorandums of understanding and donations from Mark Zuckerberg and consent decrees and mail-in voting and all that stuff. So yeah, check out Syringa Speaker Series. That's just the first of what should prove to be many great events. And of course, a regular sponsor is Lynn Bradescu of Boise. When she's not rabble-rousing and stirring the pot, as she likes to say, here in Idaho politics, she has a realty business. So go check her out. I appreciate all of them for sponsoring. And if you're interested in sponsoring, just give me a call, give me an email, editor@gemstatechronicle.com. So let's see. Was this week? This was, wasn't it? Cola Wars. My goodness, this has been a long week. And they're just, next week's going to be crazy. So the legislature was supposed to be done last week. They weren't done. They wanted to be done this week. They're not done. They're aiming for next week now. So next week is going to be crazy. But so earlier Monday, I wrote this about House Bill 109, it would take soda and candy away from SNAP benefits. It doesn't say you can't buy them, even if you're a welfare recipient on food stamps. You just have to use your own money for it. You can't use the SNAP benefits. SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And even Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. has come out in favor of this sort of thing at the federal level. So why not do it here in Idaho? Anyway, I wasn't originally going to write about this. This bill's been going through the process, and it's getting a little bit of controversy. Idaho Freedom Foundation rated it -1, saying that it's additional government regulation and restricting consumer choice, which maybe, but it's with tax dollars in the first place that were meant to help hungry people feed themselves and their families. So I'm not sure how soda helps that. But then you also have the bottlers and the soft drink industry and the grocery store vendors and their lobbies who were against it as well. But anyway, I wasn't going to write about it until over the last weekend. It became a national story because a bunch of high-profile MAGA-aligned Twitter accounts started shilling for Big Soda. Started saying, "Oh, there's a new war on soda, and they're coming for SNAP benefits, and we got to stand up to this." And they all did it all at the same time. It was clearly coordinated. And so I went and explained that and shared some of the accounts that were doing it. Some of them did delete the posts. Here's the talking points that were allegedly set out. Here's the messaging they were supposed to do. Everybody was supposed to show that Donald Trump likes Diet Coke, and how dare we restrict soda. So now it was interesting how you had this Idaho issue that's connected to this larger national issue. So I decided to write about that. So check that out on Wednesday. On Tuesday, I went and spoke at the High Desert Republican Women's Club down in Marsing. It's a small community in Owyhee County, just across the Snake River from Canyon County. It was a lot of fun. Had some good treats. One of the members had a birthday. Good group of people, and I enjoyed my time there. I spoke for, I think, probably an hour. It was a lot of fun. So I wasn't able to get this out on Tuesday, but I got it out the very next morning. Just a list of 8 different bills that need to be pushed along. No tax dollars for teachers' unions. Protecting children from indecent exposure. E-Verify, we'll get back to that in a minute. Concealed carry on public property, foreign ownership of land. Zoning restrictions for homeless shelters. Overturning Obergefell, the gay marriage Supreme Court decision, and Senate Bill 1023, which is medical freedom. Since this went out, the foreign ownership of land bill did pass House State Affairs, so that one's moving through. But the rest are still stuck. Most of these are stuck in Senate State Affairs, which is why you need to call Chairman Jim Guthrie and ask him to move them. This morning, Senate State Affairs heard Senator Ben Taves doing his anti-DEI bill, and Chairman Guthrie clearly did not want to be there. He seemed very frustrated that this was getting a hearing, but that did pass, and hopefully it will go through the process. That's the anti-DEI bill is the one I carried a resolution regarding to the Idaho Republican Party winter meeting this year. Just because the State Department of Education or State Board of Education has said no more DEI doesn't mean we don't need the legislature to take action, because they're just going to rename it. They're just going to do it under some other banner. Senate Bill 1023, this is an important one. So let's see. See if I can find I should have had this link up. There we go. 2025 legislative session. All right. The governor has not updated his tracking sheet yet. So if you go to the governor's website, gov.idaho.gov, it's very palindromic there, legislative session /2025 session, or just Google that, Governor Brad Little 2025 session. It'll bring you to this page. And it's everything having to do with the legislative session and all his press releases claiming credit for everything the legislature does, the state of the state address, transmittal letters. I don't know why he only has 2 of those on there, since he gives letters to all of them. But most importantly, he has his tracking sheet. It is I guess I got to switch here. There we go. Switch to the other tab here. So it's just a spreadsheet of every bill, the time and date it was delivered to his office, the time it's due, because he has 5 days, not counting Sundays, to sign or veto, or it becomes law without a signature. And then it shows the action that the governor took. So he signed a lot of bills this year, no vetoes yet, but here we go. Senate Bill 1023 as amended, was delivered 11:30 a.m. on March 24th, 2025. So the due date is tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. on March 29th. And he has yet to do anything with that bill. So we are waiting. There's a couple others that he is still waiting to do. So it's entirely possible he's already signed it, and he just hasn't told anybody yet. Hasn't done any press releases or hasn't updated this spreadsheet. I don't know if the governor is going to come in on a Saturday morning to sign bills. I don't think I would if I were him. I just get it done on Friday night. So I don't know. We're waiting for this spreadsheet to update. I mean, we can see if it's already uploaded. So just switch this to 328. No, it has not yet been updated. Let's go back to the original screen here. So I'll be refreshing this to see if the Friday tracking sheet is updated, and we'll know at that point if it has been signed or if it is still waiting for tomorrow morning. So that is Senate Bill 1023, the Medical Freedom Act. Everybody's come out in support of this. Obviously, all the health freedom folks here in Idaho are supportive of it. Dr. Ryan Cole wants it done. Robert Kennedy Jr. is on board. I even saw actor Rob Schneider tweet about it. A bunch of big organizations are for it. Idaho Republican Party Chair Dorothy Moon just wrote about it this week. This really is a big deal. After COVID, we saw what the government did in the name of public health. And we saw how government pressure caused businesses to try to force things on people, whether it's masks or injections or whatever. And so this is an important bill to protect people's rights. Hopefully the governor signs it. As I revealed on last week's stream when I went through the governor's cover my address there, the governor's fundraising letter, he appears to be running for a third term. We'll probably start getting announcements to that effect in May, right around about the 1 year mark before the 2026 primary. But because he is likely running again, you'd think he would want to make sure to stay on the good side of a lot of people with this. Of course, he's got people in his ear telling him to not sign it. IACI and the businesses and the medical community, I think, is against this because they're, they do have a bit of a profit motive there. But we'll see what he does. So if you'd like him to, you'd like to leave a message, you can call him 208-334-2100. It'll go to his voicemail and you can just leave a message. You can also go through the contact link. So find this article at gemstatechronicle.com. Yesterday, I wrote about Theo Wold, former Solicitor General, former advisor to President Trump. He came to the Capitol for Capitol Clarity, which is a program produced by the Idaho Freedom Foundation. It's a great program every Thursday at noon. They might do one more. This was supposed to be the last one, but with the legislature coming back, they're considering coming back next week. Personally, I would bet they don't. I remember when I was working for IFF and I was in charge of doing Capitol Clarity, I remember thinking that that final week, it's crazy, it's hectic. Let's just not. As you might recall, last year, this time, the final Capitol Clarity was with Dr. Ryan Cole, which obviously was very popular. Lots of folks came out to see him. And in fact, that talk, along with others like Leslie Manukian, was kind of the start of this whole medical freedom thing. So I'm glad I played a very, very small part in that. But the funny thing was, due to a scheduling conflict, we ended up not having the Lincoln Auditorium for that day. So we were crowded in one of the Senate committee hearing rooms, and it was crowded. The most packed episode of the year, and it's in the small room. So, yeah, good job, me. Anyway, Theo Wold was there. I suggest I linked to the entire talk. Go watch that. He was great, but I bounced off what he's saying here for this article about how President Trump has given us this moment in time to get some things done. He has opened the doors. It's like, to use a football analogy, the blockers up front have pushed the defensive line forward, created a hole, and now it's up to the running back to take advantage of that hole and run for a touchdown, or at least get some yards. I could make all sorts of other analogies, but you get the point. We have a moment in time here where we can do some things that we couldn't do before. And so we need to take advantage of it. And that means, doing some radical stuff like restructuring our government and actually implementing a Doge idea to eliminate agencies that we don't need, that are not part of the proper role of government, to really trim back government spending. And as Theobald said, we need to tackle immigration. And that's what I wrote about today. So I'll get to that in a minute. But as Theo pointed out, next year at this time, when the 2026 legislature is here, who knows what things look like? Remember, Trump's first term was completely derailed by that Russiagate hoax investigation. The independent investigator, they used Robert Mueller, did his investigation, and it just stymied the entire thing. They took out some of Trump's cabinet appointees. They took out Michael Flynn. And so he wasn't able to really get done what he wanted to get done. And this year, obviously, he started off with a bang, but anything could happen. We could end up in 2026 and the president's been handcuffed, maybe even literally. I mean, you just never know what the future is going to bring. You got to strike while the iron is hot. You got to take advantage of the time you've been given. And we have been given time to do some things. So, we need to do it. Go watch Theo's entire presentation. It's fantastic, as always. I think he probably spoke at a third of the Lincoln Day dinners this year. So finally today, I elaborated a bit on the illegal immigration thing. So this morning, a story went viral. It went national. So a little bit of backstory here. Let me go to the tail. Going to switch to this tab. There we go. So Investigate West is, I see it as kind of a, they bill themselves as these people who are investigating government and the powerful and, speaking truth to power and such. It's kind of a gossip rag. They find out who is talking to whom and try to get them in trouble. I remember that it was a big scoop a couple of years ago that, Wayne Hoffman actually lives just across the border in Washington State. He's got property there. Okay, whatever. Anyway, that they picked up this story about how you have two Republicans in Idaho who have radically different views of the illegal immigration issue. Representative Stephanie Mickelson has a family farm in eastern Idaho that employs guest workers, and it turns out that they also have some illegal aliens on the payroll, or at least they did. And meanwhile, over here there he is, in Ada County, we have Ryan Spoon. He's the first vice chairman of the Ada County Republican Central Committee, and he's quite an activist in local politics. And he has a certain style on social media, as anyone who's interacted with him knows. And he was encouraging everybody to call ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, and tell them that, hey, we have somebody here who employs illegals. And it wasn't just, he didn't just pick Representative Mickelson's name out of a hat. Last year, to debate on a bill related to immigration, she stood up on the House floor and said that if you don't think that you've got illegal aliens or illegal immigrants working in food and hospitality and construction, then you're kidding yourselves. So it was actually a funny exchange because another Representative Macon Blanksma from District 8, who's now out of the legislature, had been objecting to talk that about illegal aliens, saying that, we don't, our farmers and our employers here in Idaho don't employ illegals. And Mickelson kind of threw her under the bus there by saying, yeah, absolutely they do. So it didn't come out of nowhere. She's basically admitting on the House floor that there are illegal aliens in various industries here. And it turns out ICE went over to her farm and found an illegal alien who had a criminal record. Apparently, it's talking about burying the lead. It's way down here. Way down here. Way down here. Way down here. There we go. The immigrant ICE arrested from Mickelson Farms was vulnerable for another reason. The Trump administration had been touting its focus on arresting criminal aliens, unauthorized immigrants with criminal records. In November 2022, Mickelson Farms employee Sajid Soto had previously been charged with battery and drug possession. According to the Bonneville County Sheriff's Department, he admitted to choking his wife during an argument, and then while being booked in the local jail, officers found a tiny amount of methamphetamine in his wallet. So domestic violence, possession of drugs, but this is, and here illegally, obviously. So talk about burying the lead. Put that way back down at the bottom of the article. So anyway, my point being, that came out this week, and then this morning, Breitbart News picked up the story and posted it nationally. So this story here in Idaho of this conflict over illegal immigration has now gone national. And so I used that again to, as I always do, I take something and I use it to bounce off to talk about the larger issue. And the larger issue is the heart of this debate. Do we need foreign workers in the first place? People like Representative Mickelson and others in the agricultural industry and the dairy industry say yes, absolutely, because Americans don't do these jobs. And then we ask, what about the illegal aliens? And they say, well, they're here, they're working. We shouldn't just get rid of them. If we deport them, then they're, it's going to cause all sorts of problems. Our price is going to go up. We won't have enough workers, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really the conflict here. And the framing of the story that I chose here, gotta keep switching screens whenever I click a new window. So this is Mickelson Farms. And I don't want to do this to threaten anybody. I know in the article she was saying that she felt like she had been threatened. Actually, it's different. It's really just saying this is an American success story. This is a family farm that is still operating. That's fantastic. We love that. So many family farms have been bought up by big multinational conglomerates, nameless, faceless corporations that, they have no connection to the history of the region or to the land. They're just there. We're just raw materials. Our state is raw materials for their operation. But that's not what this is. This is a family farm that's still going, owned by the same family, who presumably hope to pass it down through the generations. That's great. I love that. The question I ask, though, is it so hard then to hire Americans? What's the point of having that great family farm and that great tradition if you're not going to hire American workers? You're just going to outsource your workforce to other countries, to Mexico or Central America, South America, wherever. It's not an issue of ethnicity or race or anything. It's an issue of citizenship. The purpose of the market, the free market, is not to be a god unto itself. Because if 100% of jobs in America were outsourced and our GDP went up, would that be a good thing? No. The purpose of the free market and the purpose of everything within our country is to serve the American people. The purpose of our government is to serve the American people. So if our government is creating incentives for businesses to not hire Americans, but instead hire people from foreign countries, how is that helping America? Sure, we get, maybe our potatoes are a little bit cheaper, but at what cost? Where are the jobs that young people should be able to be getting to learn the value of work and working with their hands? Where are, what about housing prices? What about healthcare prices? It's a tangled web. And I feel like the debate is not, it's like we're missing the forest for the trees here. We're going to have to start pulling at the threads of that tangled web and untangling it. Instead, we're told that, no, this is just the way it is. Americans won't do these jobs. We need more foreign workers. We need more guest visas. We need to give amnesty to the illegal aliens who are already here. And where does that end? Does that end with entire industries that are just off limits to American citizens? That doesn't sound right. That's not very American. That's not very patriotic. So the purpose of this was not to go after anybody, not Representative Mickelson, not anyone else. It was just to start asking these questions. And the conclusion I come to in this piece is that a good start is E-Verify. E-Verify is a federal system where when you're hiring an employee, you can check their citizenship or work visa status, because it's already illegal to hire illegal aliens. But a lot of times businesses just don't check because they don't have to. They just accept at face value whatever papers the citizen came up. But remember, the dairymen's lobbyist last year said that up to 70% of their people might fail their I-9 audits, their citizenship paper or their work visa paper audits. So if up to 70% of the dairy industry could possibly be illegal, what about the agricultural industry? What about all these other industries that are apparently full of guest workers and illegal aliens? And honestly, there was an interesting quote in here from in the Investigate West article. It says, farm owners like Mickelson are caught in a pincher between two federal agencies, said Thomas, the immigration attorney. Either accept documents at face value, some of which may be fakes from unauthorized immigrants and risk punishment by Homeland Security, or question documents too closely and risk being sued by the wildly aggressive Immigrant and Employee Rights Division of the Department of Justice. So they're framing it as these businesses are being caught between two federal agencies. One of them says you can only hire legal workers, citizens, or guest workers with proper documentation, whereas the other says you can't profile. If you even hint at questioning them, then we're going to come after you and do a civil rights lawsuit. So yeah, I totally get that. I totally understand that. The government is the problem, as Ronald Reagan said. So the solution is not to just continue this. The solution is not to just legalize everybody. The solution is, one, for the federal government to get its house in order and stop persecuting people who are just trying to follow the law. And hopefully President Trump's going to put that in place. But second, E-Verify. That way, if a business goes to hire somebody and they run it through the E-Verify system and E-Verify says, hey, this person's not here legally, then the business is not on the hook for that. The business says, yeah, sorry, federal government says you're not allowed to work. Go, have a nice day. And if some overzealous immigration attorney comes in and tries to sue, you can say, well, the federal government said they're not supposed to be here. Go talk to them. This is a way to shift liability away from businesses. Businesses should be supporting E-Verify, but instead they're opposing it. The dairy lobby and all those, they're opposing this. And I'm not 100% sure why. Obviously, we can speculate, but I really don't know. So yeah, E-Verify is House Bill 252, which I put in here. House Bill 252 was introduced on February 14th, 2025 in House State Affairs. It has yet to receive a hearing. And at this point, it looks like it's not going to receive a hearing because next week's the last week. They're running out of time. Why are they running out the clock on this bill? Why did they not give it a hearing? And this isn't Chairman Jim Guthrie over on the Senate side. This is Chairman Brett Crane on the House side. Why did Chairman Crane not give House Bill 252 a hearing? Maybe he will next week. Maybe he'll get it in right at the last minute. Maybe if he hears from enough citizens who are concerned about this issue, maybe that's something he would be willing to do. But as it stands now, immigration is the big missing piece of this legislative session. Next week, as the session comes to a close, I'll probably do a comprehensive piece on the session and the pluses, the minuses. I'll give it a scorecard, just like I did at the mid-session report. Right now, immigration is on track to be an F. Yeah, they got through the Idaho ICE bill that says if somebody's picked up twice who is an illegal alien, they can be deported. That's great. It should only be once. But E-Verify getting stuck in committee, not even getting a hearing. This is a very simple thing. A bunch of other red states have already implemented mandatory E-Verify. It's the simplest thing in the world to do. The program's already there. The database is already there. The law is already there saying that you can only hire people who are legally able to work. It just connects the two and says, you just have to check. So, yeah. It's a nice picture, though. It's in the spirit of the current zeitgeist on social media. I made it in the an anime style farm there. It looks nice. Obviously, you can't see any illegal immigrants there from this perspective. So yeah, go check out all those articles. Contact your legislators, especially go back to the Missing Bills article. And a friend of mine put together these links that you click them, and it literally just brings up your email program with a pre-written subject, pre-written 2-line and CCs, and a pre-written message that I wrote. So it's not too incendiary, but feel free to change it. It's your email. It's coming from you. Personal messages are always best. Legislators get a lot of pre-written stuff. They just honestly ignore them. I would too, because it's like, okay, I might just get a sense of how many of the same pre-written messages I'm getting to get an idea of what's going on out there, what rhetoric's floating around. But they don't have time to sit through and read 1,000 emails a day. We don't pay them enough for that. But so personal ones are best, especially if you live in somebody's district. Put in the subject line, hey, I'm a district whatever voter. So yeah, go check that out. What else is going on here? Anybody in the chat? Anyone have any questions? Raspberry tea tonight. Uh, no legislators on this evening. It's especially after a week like this. It's been busy. I do feel a little bit hesitant to call people up and say, "Hey, can you take some time out of your Friday evening after a busy week to talk politics with me?" I get it. They all want to take a break. They want to spend time with their families. I'm going to go spend time with my family here soon. One of the reasons I didn't prepare any video clips or anything tonight is because I was spending time with my family. We were outside, playing football in the rain, as it should be. Let's take a look at a couple things while I'm here. Let's go to the list of bills. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's more bills this year than ever before. I don't know about ever, but House is already up to 469. Last year they ended at about 379. So there's almost 100 more bills, or two years ago, I should say. They ended at about 379 because every odd numbered year, 2023, 2025, 2027, they start at 1 and count up, and then they'll pick up where they left off next year in the second year of the session. Senate has as many. They start at 1,001 and they're up to 1,205. Let's see, if you go back to 2023 session, the previous odd numbered year, they got up to 380, and in the Senate they got up to 1,215. So a lot more bills this year. Let's go back to 2021. I'm just curious now. They got up to 435 and 1,225. Anyway, this is pretty cool. This goes all the way back to 1998, which was, I believe, Speaker Boyle's first year in the legislature. That was an even numbered year, so it starts at 409 here. Unpaid child support property liens. I don't know what SLC means. Let's look at that. To governor, signed. So SLC must be signed. I don't know. In any case, it's kind of fun. You can go all the way back to the 90s and see the actual text of these bills. Go to Digital Media Archive. This one goes as far back as 2013. Let's see. Video of House chambers on from 2013. That's not great quality, but it's there. Ironically, they used to stream the legislature, but they wouldn't record it. And the story, as I heard it, is that Wade Hoffman over at Idaho Freedom Foundation started keeping those recordings, recording them and keeping them on the website so people could go back and watch. And apparently the legislature told him to stop, and he said, no, this is public video, the public information. And so finally they decided to start recording it themselves. Because why not? It's I think it's great. So yeah, that's about all I have for today. That was kind of a short review. There are bills still moving through the process. There was a bill. Both flag bills have now been signed. I think the second one has been signed. It might have just passed as amended. But you had the one flag bill saying that you can only have American flags and other, proper flags in school classrooms, and that one was definitely signed. That one's done. And then there was another one that was the same thing, but for essentially public property. If you've been to Boise, you know that Boise City Hall for the past few years has been flying a trans pride flag. And that is one of the examples of these divisive flags that should not be flown by government entities. So this bill, once it gets signed, will tell them that they have to take it down. I hope somebody gets video of them taking it down for the last time. So I'm going to go rest my stuffy nose. I had a bit of a cold this week. I don't know if anybody saw me in the Capitol last week. I tweaked my back and I was walking hunched over. It was painful. It was difficult. I feel much better now, in case anyone's wondering. Although my nose is a little stuffed now. I had a touch of a cold this week. It's mostly over, but talking for 40 minutes does get me a bit congested. Remember to visit gemstatechronicle.com, subscribe at gemstate.substack.com. I appreciate everybody. If you subscribe for free, you'll get usually one article a day in your inbox, including the Saturday Roundup, which tells you what you missed, plus other interesting things. If you you could do a paid subscription to support me. This is my full-time job. I also do consulting on the side. I also have ads on the Chronicle. Remember to visit our advertisers, Syringa Speaker Series, Lynn Bradiscu's Realty, and Money Metals Exchange. And with that, I will wish you a good weekend. I'll see you later. We fire off the... oh, goodness. There it is. Have a good weekend.